is somehow a victory, right? If a flat earther like acknowledges and concedes to little g being in the buoyancy equation or little g being used in weights, so thus, engineering and things that determine weight distribution, I think that's somehow a victory for their belief in gravity, which is typically this archaic belief of mass attracting mass, which isn't even the belief in their model anymore. But it isn't a victory for that idea whatsoever because it's fundamentally different.
So besides
Yo,
deflecting
I wanted to bring
retorts
someone
and
up yesterday.
deflections,
Yesterday's somebody said that Newton's formula had big G in it. That was discovered by Cavendish, but I mean, clearly that wasn't Newton who threw big G in his formula because Cavendish didn't. Newton was dead by the time Cavendish even did his thing, right?
so besides deflecting retorts, who actually has a refutation against my refutation of MAM, for instance, to actually progress a dialogue?
Which I just made a point. I mean, I don't know. Did anyone want to address what I said?
It was about Cavendish, right? And he came after Newton.
Yeah, like Newton's formula. Somebody said Newton's formula has big G in it, but clearly that wasn't Newton himself. That was somebody else because Newton was dead before Cavendish happened.
Yeah, I mean, what we talk about as the Newtonian conception of gravitation is written completely differently. Like he didn't have the same kind of algebraic notation that we learn. He just kind of wrote all the stuff out in longhand, with words like times and, you know. So
Did you hear what
yeah,
I said though?
it's adapted. You were talking about Cavendish and introducing big G, getting introduced somewhere
Yeah, like
between.
that obviously wasn't Newton because Newton couldn't have known about big G because Cavendish figured it out, right?
Okay.
Is that all right or
I
what?
don't I don't know the history of that. I assume Wikipedia describes it. I could look it up if people are interested.
No, whatever. Just carry on. I don't know. Greg had a point or something. Go
It
ahead.
it would be interesting, like if interesting alternate history, right? If Newton had done the Cavendish experiment with the technology he had at the time, would that have changed anything? I don't know.
No, because Cavendish just ran across his yard with the freaking telescope and said, I swear that thing just kind of moved a little bit. Didn't even
But
account for stuff like electrostatics, then presuppose a spherical model to claim that he determined the weights by
you
simply
think he was a
reifying the
fraud?
concept that, yeah, absolutely.
And
I
everybody
just
who
described how
reproduces Cavendish afterwards, like it's a commonly done experiment.
that commonly doesn't work and has to continually be messed with until you get a very an effect that's kind of close to what you want, and all the rest are dismissed as user error, and they don't
Now
even
you see,
control
this is
for
the
the
point.
prominent variable.
This is the point where I highlight that he's going to repeat the same question or the same point after his doctrine has been refuted, never saying an argument to refute my refutation, and then I'm the one that gets censured.
Yo, yeah, say your point again? I missed it.
Yeah, so earlier, I've already said this to him last night, and he's just continuing to ignore my twofold refutation against his metaphysical doctrine of mass attracting mass, and I can do the same with his TGR. But since he's focusing on mass attracting mass now, obviously I'm going to say the appropriate refutation. So I'm telling him either he concedes to the refutation or he says a refutation to refute one of the premises in my argument. Otherwise, everything else is completely moot and irrelevant, not falsifying anything in my refutation.
Okay, so your refutation is against mass attracting mass here is the causation hypothesis, quote, if matter exists, then matter pulls to other matter. Um, okay, if materiality is the property of being matter, then it isn't a force that can cause motion. So I don't think anybody in this conversation has introduced this word materiality, so your refutation here is not applicable.
My refutation does not require someone else to say the word materiality in order for it to be logically sound. What kind of
You
argument is that? You are obviously so
because
far away from actually being adept to or give any argument. You just say anything that comes to mind with that
I'm not.
condescending tone as though it's actually
I'm
effective to
I,
refute anything.
I'm
I
reading
will say
what you
that's one
wrote.
of the worst arguments I've ever heard, bro. Did you
I'm
just
reading
say
what you
that
wrote.
like no one said materiality, therefore it's not applicable?
I'm saying his formal refutation starts out number one, if materiality is the property of being matter, comma,
Do
and
you disagree with that? Do you disagree with
every
that? Let's go
uh
step by step.
I am disagreeing that that is irrelevant because no one has predicated anything that has been said today
Oh my god,
on
dude.
this definition of materiality. It's not relevant.
God.
Yo, I
Number two,
refuse to
materiality
believe this
is
is
the
his
property
sincere
of being
error.
matter.
I
Like,
refuse.
so let me ask
I
you, why
refuse.
do you
This is
introduce this term?
sophistry.
Number two,
Yeah.
material, it is a critique of your proof here.
Read off the first one. Read off the full
The
thing.
number one, if materiality is the property of being matter, then it isn't a force that can cause motion. Two,
Okay. Stop right there. Stop right there.
materiality is the
Stop
property
right
of being
there. Stop
matter.
right, dude. Stop right there. So, do you disagree with the if?
If materiality is the property of being matter, I'm not sure if he is introducing a definition of materiality here, which is identical to the term of matter itself, or if this is a conditional, which is conditioning this entire proof on everyone else relying on some concept called materiality. Which is it?
My god, it's so retarded. Is it true that materiality is the property of being matter? Yes or no?
I don't
Right.
know. I haven't used the
So
term
let's.
materiality to describe potatoes on a scale.
Okay,
Oh
so
my.
no, you don't know. You don't know. So you're totally
No,
ignorant. So you don't
that's
know
not what I
it's
said.
false.
That's not what I said.
You just
Do you
said
know?
I don't know after I asked you the question.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
just try to keep it
I
chill, bro.
don't know because you're talking about a specific term
Do
in
you
your
know
proof
what it means?
system.
Do you know what materiality means?
I know what people often use it to refer to say, but many people use this term differently. And since he is giving a formal
What?
proof, we need to use the term in the framework of his universe of discourse.
We're using the term in the conversation about physics. The only other use of that word I can even think of is like in law, right? Like a material fact. So in law, it means it's relevant, right? Like significant or relevant, like the materiality of the evidence. And obviously, that's not
Okay,
the context here, right? That's obviously not the context here. So I asked you, do you know what it means? You said, I know how other people use it. Okay.
yeah,
Do you know what it means? It has a definition.
right. But what matters is the definition that Gregory is using. And I want to ask Gregory, are you saying in number one here, are you saying materiality is equivalent to matter? Is the same term? Or is this a conditional statement?
I'm going to say what I said again, and we're going to see if you're going to simply acknowledge what is being said. Is materiality the property of being matter? Yes or no?
Uh, if you want to use the word that way, sure.
What other way can he use it? Dude,
You
let me break
you
something
just
down for
gave
you.
an
Let me
example of
break something
law.
down for you, man. Let me break something down for you. Definition. What does definition mean? It comes from the word define. So
Yep.
if something has definition, it is rigid, like it has a shape, like it's defined, right? That's what it means. It has a particular shape, for example. It's defined, it's rigid, it is what it is. This is the definition of whatever. Like if you get really jacked, you have definition. Okay, so that the whole premise of it is that it isn't malleable.
I don't think you're going to find a linguist who agrees with you on that.
That
Like
what? What?
this is this is a fundamental distinction in linguistics called descriptivism versus prescriptivism. You were stating the prescriptivist conception of language and words. Like you can look in a
This is
dictionary,
another
and the
humongous
dictionary
digression again.
tells you
Get
no,
back to
no.
my
It is
question.
it is it is fundamental to what Witsit just said.
This is a
It,
humongous digression from my question.
too
Yeah, and I'm
bad.
just trying to
Is
make the point that it
materiality
just it
the
has a
property of being
definition.
matter?
It has a definition. It isn't subjective. Okay, so do you know what the definition is? Instead of telling me what you think other people think about it, do you know? Can you define it?
Define what
Materiality.
materiality?
Don't you know it depends on what the definition of is?
It's like
I'm going
someone
to ask the
saying
question
that
again.
the definition of woman can change, and it's like, no, it can't. The definition that's like anti-Semitism. Since it's malleable, I can say everyone is anti-Semitic for whatever I want to come up with.
You
Okay,
had to go
but
there,
words
huh?
have meaning. Words have meaning. That's the whole
Okay, so
point of
I'm going to ask the
definitions.
question again because I'm asking a simple, closed-ended yes or no question deliberately because there is no escape. So he's just trying to avoid the question. Is materiality the property of being matter? Yes or no?
If you want to use the word that way, sure.
Oh my
I have not
God, bro!
I have not used that word, so I'm not going to be trapped by your semantic argument.
All right, so he's just avoiding
Wow.
the question.
I don't
Yes,
Right?
know. This is
I've
super bad
avoided
faith,
using
man.
the
Since
word.
he's avoiding the question, he's avoiding my premise, which is in my argument. So he's avoiding my argument while feigning that he's going to scrutinize and to refute it.
And by the way,
Yes, I
dude, if you're invoking matter at all, which includes invoking mass at all, which is the quantification, a conceptual quantification of matter. If you're invoking matter at all, you are invoking materiality intrinsically.
okay. Okay.
Do you understand
So
that?
why okay, so why do we need the word materiality there if we're not just going to make a semantic argument based on it? Why can't we just talk about matter in this refutation? Could you
Because
rewrite
the
your
causation
refutation without
hypothesis,
without
because the causation
introducing this
hypothesis,
unnecessary
here's the
word?
answer. Here's the answer. Because the causation hypothesis is concerning matter. Because the causation hypothesis supposes that the cause is the sheer existence of matter. Hence the citation. Hence the
Exactly.
charitable and accurate summation that is the causation hypothesis. If matter exists, then it pulls matter to other matter. So it's obviously concerning materiality because it supposes materiality or matter being matter, the sheer existence of matter as the cause, when that's
That's
not a
why.
cause.
Let's make it really simple. The reason he's using the word materiality is because it's actually a description of what matter is itself, the being of matter. And since you're invoking that itself, just the mere existence of matter, which is materiality, the existence of the matter being the cause, that's why he is making that distinction. Do you understand?
That's why.
Um, that's
I mean,
not
dude,
what this says.
this argument trips everyone up when you use the word materiality. Can you use it? Can you do your argument without using that word? Like I always hear it that it comes to like a standstill when this word's introduced
It's because
every
they don't
time
know
you
what
use
the
No one
it.
word means.
understands this
But
except sophists.
But it's actually
No,
important, though. Wait, Jeremy. I just want to make sure you understand why it's important, though, because if let's put it in really simple terms, like this is like what Newton said, right? And that he doesn't understand it at all, and God must be doing it directly. And just let's just suppose, for intended purposes, let's just throw this in there without really answering the question, and just assume that gravity is a property of matter itself. Just the being of matter, the fact that there is matter, gravity is basically built in. It's a property of matter itself. So the fact that there is matter is the cause. So that's why, like, the concept of materiality, which is just that matter exists, right? It's like the quality of being material or being composed of material or matter. So that's why it is actually specifically worded accurately. Like, I've never
and
heard this
I
until right now, but if you actually understand why he's using that term, it makes perfect sense. And actually, it's needed to elucidate the specific point because it's claiming that the existence of the matter, merely that fact that matter exists, is the fundamental cause.
I think you explained it better than Gregory wrote it.
Whatever,
He
dude.
said the same thing I said.
Yeah.
No. No. What you wrote is if materiality is the property of being matter, and that is an ambiguous wording. And I'm trying to get clarification on your intent of that wording.
Well, now
No,
you
it
know, man.
isn't. And he did say what I said. I said it before him. That's why he's giving the explanation of my words.
Okay. Is it possible for you to rewrite your refutation without using this unnecessary and
No,
confusing
no,
word?
it is. I just pointed out why it's necessary. Now you understand it. So it doesn't matter. Okay. Can you just address the point, man? Can we get to fruitful discussion? Because this point is actually very important.
This is just pedantry. Right? So stop the pedantry and say a refutation.
You're
Otherwise
you're the
concede.
one you're the one that's always saying modus ponens, dude. Don't accuse me of pedantry.
Do you think you
Yeah,
understand? Do
stop
you
the
understand?
pedantry and say the refutation. Otherwise concede. Now go.
Could you even like repeat back or like still man exactly what's being said? Like I just explained it. Gregory's explained it a few times. It's right in front of
So
you. I guess you're reading it. Can you explain? Like I'm genuinely curious. Like, do you
I
understand
think
the point being made?
I think the point you're claiming is that the claim that matter exists itself is a claim of causation and force. Like the claim that matter exists, that matter attracts matter, is a claim of
No, no, no.
causation.
This
Therefore,
archaic claim of gravity is claiming that matter existing itself is the cause. And we're not doing anything. We're pointing out the ridiculous nature of the claim. Or that's what Gregory's doing.
but Gregory didn't use the word gravity in his refutation.
You've got to be kidding me. When I just cited the citation talking about gravity.
But you didn't use the word in your refutation.
But it's obviously irrelevant. You know what you're doing. This
You
is
don't
despicable.
you don't get to say I'm writing a formal refutation and end it with modus ponens and then say the wording that some other thing is implied. You know how formal logic
It's
works, right?
obviously irrelevant. You are a despicable sophist.
All right, let's just
You're
relax.
you're the
I don't know if that's necessary.
you're the one who's always saying modus ponens, dude. You don't like
Has
Oh,
I
no
don't get
dude.
excuse
it.
to falsify
Sounds
what
like
I'm
debate.
saying.
Sounds like debate. Dude, here's the deal, man. Can you please engage with the idea, man? Can you explain what the idea even
Like, after I say this reply, he needs to engage it. What is your refutation? And if you don't have one, concede. Now go.
So, okay, if materiality is the property of being matter, then it isn't a force that can cause motion. So I agree, materiality is not a force.
So
Uh,
MM is false. Thank you for your concession. Next.
Number two, materiality is the property of being matter. Okay, so this is stating the thing that was conditioned in the first, in number one.
Mhm.
Therefore, it isn't a force that can cause motion. So this is literally presuming the consequent here, where you're simply restating this claim that matter cannot be a force that materiality cannot be a force that causes motion. This is
No, it isn't. It's not a
this is
mere assertion. It's a deductive
this is
argument.
this is begging the question.
It's not a mere assertion. It's a deductive
Oh my
argument.
God.
Next.
It may be a
Begging the
semantic argument.
question, bro.
You're you're introducing the term materiality in order to make a semantic argument about the fundamental properties of the universe, and that is like using the dictionary as to argue the existence of, I
That's
don't know,
not an error.
God.
Speaking meaningfully isn't an error. Next.
Okay, but you cannot use the dictionary to prove things about the nature of the universe
Speaking
because
meaningfully isn't an error. Next.
I didn't say it was. I said trying to use
We heard what
definitions
you
of
said. Stop
words.
repeating it. That's not an error. Me saying the word materiality, obviously relevant to matter, which is the supposed cause, the sheer existence thereof, in the causation hypothesis, is not an error. Talking about the supposed cause in the refutation about the supposed cause is not an error. Next.
Okay. Do you agree that humans chose this word materiality and its definition?
Okay, I think
What
we've
is that?
reached the we all right. We reached the impasse. It's
Really?
not
You
Thank
want to?
you.
no
Yeah, you
Thank
don't
you.
want to discuss that, huh?
no. It's just you're clearly your like disguise that you've been trying so desperately to hold on to has now just completely dissipated. It's very obvious that you are intentionally being bad faith. Like that is your sole objective is to dilute, obfuscate,
I am
deflect.
I am engaging with the core of his argument here, which revolves around this concept or word
Watch
of
this. Watch
materiality.
this.
No,
Watch this, because I can explode this also. Because what he's going to do, he's going to pull this sophistic rigmarole where he then tries to deconstruct language into a nominalistic default position and therefore try to evacuate the meaning out of every word that I said, especially materiality. So yes, humans speak words meaningfully, and
just
Okay,
let it go. I'm just like it's just terrible to listen to.
so you're
I'm like
okay. So
saying,
understand
next,
for the yeah, dude. You just sit this one out, man, or something, man, because it's very obvious at this point that I guess you guys have a history, but you're just like being very pedantic and bad faith, and it's just really lame. So,
I
like,
I'm not the one saying
you
modus
keep claiming
ponens,
he's
man.
making, dude, that's a logical point, man. He keeps on, you keep on claiming he's using a semantical argument. You don't seem to know what that means. Right, which is that it is an argument void of specific substance, and it's merely based on the composition of words. That is not what he's doing. Okay, what he's actually doing is making a logical point. And for the room who may want to actually understand the point, Newton himself didn't offer any type of causal mechanism, and no one after him did either. Okay, they just started using his equations, but there was no actual cause given. It was literally claimed and utilized in such a way as to say that matter itself was gravity, effectively. Gravity was just an innate property of matter. Just trust me, bro. I don't know. I don't know what it is, how it works. I don't understand it. It's just an innate property of matter, bro. Trust me. Trust me. It's like how electrostatics is an innate property of all matter. Somehow gravity is as well. We just can't find it. It's there. Trust me, bro. Okay.
Yeah,
And so
I
there was
agree
no
with you.
specific causal mechanism proposed. He actually threw up his hands and said, "Trust me, I get this really doesn't make any sense. And I'm just really kind of proud of my ability to mathematically transform the kinematic into the dynamic. But yeah, I don't know. God must be doing it. The only way I can even conceive of this is that God's doing it directly live at all times. And somehow it's instant, regardless of distance. So there has to be something touching both of the objects. So there has to be some type of medium between them so that you can actually have mutual contacts to have this like instantaneous effect of this force that is an innate property of matter that I can't define, describe, or find that God must be doing. Okay. And that ridiculous, retarded, empty, useless notion, postulation, if you want to even call it that, was used for hundreds of years. And to this day, Globers still invoke it. Globers still think
So
that's some type of sufficient explanation for something because they conflate math and science. They conflate
okay,
descriptions and explanations. And they think that if the math works, that proves whatever claimed cause they want to put into it, even though they can't define it. And this then spills over into them. This is the same reason why they conflate Newtonian and Einsteinian mechanics because they're like, but Austin, look, the math is the same. You see, we can get the same mathematical answer from both of them. So they think in their mind that must mean that they are the same thing. Right? This is the whole problem that we have. They don't understand the difference in kinematics and dynamics. They don't understand the difference in mathematics and science. Therefore, they're always just conflating the two. That's what
okay,
happens.
but can you explain any fundamental forces and why they exist? Can you explain why electrostatics exist? Can you
Why
explain
it
why
exists?
electromagnetics why can
so
you
now we're
explain why the
gonna.
universe
Are we
exists? Like,
progressing? Are we progressing to the uniformity of
excuse me,
nature?
excuse me, I'm trying to ask a question here.
I just want to make it clear because
You
he was trying to conclude, and it sounds like you're trying to extenuate what he's trying to conclude. So are we then
he went
progressing to a different subject?
he went on a tirade, and I don't necessarily disagree against
Why
say
can't you just
physics and
confirm before you start
excuse
trying to extenuate what he's trying to conclude? Are you trying to
can I
progress to a
please
different subject, or are you trying to extenuate what he's trying to conclude?
May I please finish a sentence?
Like, am I
I
being
am.
irrational in trying to clarify this? Because he's going to try to extenuate the debate when he knows he's obviously bankrupt and depleted.
I
Yeah,
think
just
that you
acknowledge and
aren't
concede prior
allowing
to
me
changing the subject.
to have
That's
a
what Greg's saying. Do
discussion.
you understand the whole room is like, damn, bro? Like Austin made this point, Gregory made this point, Jeremy made this point, and then instead of like acknowledging the point, conceding to the point, us having some type of like intellectual conclusion that can be productive, it's just immediately skated past, and then you push a different point. So it's just left up in the air. There is no volley in the ball. So it's just
I
like, what the hell?
I I I think y'all are monologuing and shutting
Are
me out.
you
Oh my God.
progressing to a different subject, or are you trying to vindictively extenuate the subject he just concluded? Which one?
Yeah, I think I'm done here, guys. It's been fun.
Perfect.
This
All right,
is
brother.
Great.
ridiculous.
I
Now,
agree.
let's progress forward. Now, who actually, besides that guy, can actually say refutation to my argument?
What was your argument again?
The twofold refutation against MAM, mass attracting mass. I'll post it again. What's your username?
No, that's fine. I don't want to discuss about that. I was just curious there regarding gravity. There is this the Cavendish experiment, but there's also have you heard of Philip von Jolly, the
That's not a
German?
verification of the MAM.
No, it was a proof of the Newton's law, and
It's not a verification of it. It's not
that
a
the
verification of
distance.
MAM.
Dude, did you
Um,
not know? Why do no Globers know this? Isn't this just proof of like intentional deception via propaganda from the system that has fed you your belief? The fact that no Glober, despite whatever level of confidence they entered this conversation with, almost none of them, like there's almost no exception, seem to understand that in their paradigm, Newtonian mechanics is gone. It's wrong. It's been disproven. It isn't accepted. It isn't relevant. It is gone. It has been gone for a long time. What do you guys think? Isn't it wild that none of them know that? And that the only way we know it is because we diligently sought it out and then started to make sure other people knew where to look?
The
Isn't that
majority,
crazy?
the laity of scientism is not carefully taken care of by the clerics of scientism. The clerics have the current supposed orthodoxy, and the majority of the laity are deliberately taught the supposed superseded heterodox doctrine that has been superseded. Not carefully taken care of by the clerics of scientism. The clerics have the current supposed orthodoxy, and the majority of the laity are deliberately taught the supposed superseded heterodox doctrine that's been superseded. The vast majority of the laity of scientism are late. They're not updated.
so maybe briefly back to Philip von Jolly. He made an experiment with a big lead ball of 5 tons or 5.5 tons, something like this, and measured that if the weight on a long, I don't know, on a long rope is close to this lead ball, it is heavier, and if you move the lead ball away, it gets lighter. And then he moved on, and I think they claim he calculated the weight of the Earth with that, but still this situation, like with this 5.5 ton lead ball close to the weight that he was measuring, and that it got heavier, is, in my opinion, also evidence to this mass attract mass, isn't it?
No, it's not a verification of MAM.
I didn't say verification, I did say evidence, but why not? Can you elaborate?
The given hypothesis is true or false. Like, what is with avoiding these relevant words? The
Yeah,
predication
what
is
is
true or
false?
false.
What is false if you have a weight and then you move it close to a heavy mass and that weight gets heavier, and then you move the heavy mass away and that weight gets lighter again? What
The
is
supposed
wrong?
causation hypothesis, that's what's false.
What?
The supposed causation hypothesis. That's what's false.
Can you elaborate? I
The
don't
supposed
understand your
causation
claim.
hypothesis. If matter exists, then matter pulls to other matter. That's false.
Okay, the weight was pulled towards the lead ball. So what's
That's
false
not
on that?
MAM. That's not a verification of the causation hypothesis.
What is then?
Nothing. There is no verification of this causation hypothesis. It's
Oh,
false. You can't verify a false
you,
predication.
you move the lead ball back there, then it gets heavier. You move the ball away, then it's lighter. So I don't get it. What's false there?
That's not MAM. That's
Yeah,
not
you're
mass
repeating
attracting
you're
mass.
repeating that over and over and over, but can you explain it to me? I don't
I've
understand it.
already explained it.
No, you don't. You're just repeating the same claim.
My God, it's just hand waving the explanation that you're asking for. That is not because the sheer
Yeah, that
existence of
have
matter
you already
pulled.
said
Stop
20
talking
times.
to my answer to you. I
You are
began
talking
speaking when
to
you
my
weren't.
answer
I
also.
began speaking when you weren't. Stop. That's not mass attracting mass. That is not an instance of the materiality of matter, matter being matter, the sheer existence of matter, pulling other matter to other matter. That's not what that is.
What is it then?
Whatever it is, it's not MAM.
But
There's
okay,
all sorts of things that can actually
how do you
listen,
falsify that this
listen,
is not
listen,
mass attract mass?
listen, listen. There's all
Maybe you
sorts of
start
things.
listening.
Listen. There's all sorts of things that can pull or push, that can exert force.
Okay, what is it? Falsify that it's
Who
mass
knows what the
attract
particular
mass.
instance is? I don't need to tell you what the particular cause was for me to verify my falsification of your doctrine.
You're not falsifying anything. You can also just agree that you have no clue of it. That's fine. I
Okay, you're
just
just
asked
hand
the
waving
question.
again. I just said a twofold deductive refutation of your doctrine.
I have no doctrine. That was in the 1800s. This German dude made an experiment, and he had this experiment and confirmed Newton's law of gravity with that. And you can see on this experiment, similar to the Cavendish, which works differently, that when you
You're
move the big
chanting
mass
again.
close to the element, it gets heavier, it pulls. So what it's then, if it's not mass attract mass, what it's then?
Okay, again,
You
you're
claim it's
just
falsified.
chanting.
How?
Let me
How is it
answer you
falsified?
now. You've already spoken. I'm going to tag you again because you're just chanting and repeating the very same thing I've already addressed. You're becoming wearisome for no good reason. I'm concentrating my reply to what you're asking about. You asked me why it's false. I've told you why. The twofold deductive refutation of the supposed causation hypothesis that is your MAM doctrine. That's why. So from this point forward, either you concede or you say an argument to refute one of the premises, to falsify one of the premises.
I just find it so weird. Like, why do you guys try to defend it? Like, if you really believe it, that's fine. Believe your model, but like, accept what the model is, bro. And the model no longer has mass attracting mass.
Who has a refutation to my refutation, my falsification of TGR? If you don't know what it is, I'm going to send it in 5 seconds. Okay, there it is. So that's a refutation to that. So I can make this very clear. Anybody, go ahead and speak up. If you don't remember it by heart. I'll post it again in case anyone missed it. So that's refutation against my refutation of TGR. I didn't lose connection, did I? Might check.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess another refutation of that too. So MAM and TGR are both falsified, which results in the entire total collapse of scientist cosmology, necessarily entailing that without it, MAM or TGR, all material bodies would be completely disintegrated and dismayed into oblivion, which falsifies any supposed photographic evidence of the Earth being a ball, by the way. Because you need that ad hoc rescuing device that is MAM or TGR.
Yeah, I thought it was funny how he was saying that you're being semantical, but then he was like, "What's the English understanding of this word?"
Yep.
It's like, dude, really?
Yep.
Like, really, bro?
Yeah, it's stupid semantics when I try to speak meaningfully and try to be specific with what sense given what is being said. But it's okay when he does it. See how that works?
Yo, what's it? Can I ask you a quick question about the Hanby thing?
Yeah. So
In the Hanby model, do you see the real sun in the north and it's just an apparent sun in the south, or it's an apparent sun in both the north and the south?
I think everyone is seeing an apparent location of the sun in his model. So to like fully test the model, what you need is like to get the cameras up in small cameras inside there, seeing what you would see from inside, right? But
And it would be the
yeah,
same for like the moon and the stars as well, like the same concept.
yeah, yeah. But then now, who knows? Like if they're in different layers or whatever, like exactly how that all unfolds, right? But give me just a second.
I see some folks yapping in the chat against my argument. Why don't you just open your microphone and speak up? Oh, see? Just people in the chat, right? Go and speak up.
Maybe one question. So the only thing I also heard that gravity is not a force, but it can cause a force of acceleration. But let's assume that doesn't exist. What causes the apple to fall down on a flat Earth?
It's a dynamic interaction between the given object and the medium it's in. Nothing is necessarily pushing the apple or pulling the apple to the ground.
But still, the apple falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it interacts with the medium, bro.
Actually
Okay.
accelerates. Not just falls,
ignore the medium. Yeah, it accelerates or falls, whatever. Ignore the medium. Let's say vacuum chamber. You have a feather and a steel ball in a vacuum chamber.
Why would we ignore a medium, bro? Like